Welcome to the Denasha Harrison Show here on Intellectual Radio, 708-223-8953. If you want to call in, please feel free to do so. I appreciate the show that went on before me, Intellectual or Elevated Vibes on Intellectual Radio. They had a wonderful subject that they were talking about what's going on in the Middle East and talking about the politics that's going down with that, to include the politics of before, talking about the news cycles and how the news cycles gave us the facts before, and how now it's so sanitized that it's really hard for people to get outraged, to actually stand up for something that's so egregious as these subjects like war. But wonderful, wonderful subject. I'm looking forward to them doing part three or part four, or whatever part they're on right now. I'm really looking forward to hearing the brothers had to say, and because as they continue to talk about what's going on in the Middle East, people are continuing generations and generations of people that are no longer going to be able to participate in futures for their country, in futures for their loved ones, because they are no longer here. So on both sides, it's um, it's willful suicide that's going down uh, when you see what's going on in the Middle East. So call it what you will. That's my opinion. Everybody has one. So from what I am witnessing and seeing, and how people are actually talking about what's going on, I really do wish that more news cycles will get involved with the totality of the situation and not sanitize it so much, so that the people who can make change make the right decisions to do so. So, thank you for joining me on the Denasha Harrison Show here on Intellectual Radio. I will not be before you long. I am so happy to be here, and thank you all for your support. For those of you who went to aliveshoes.com on Facebook to support my shoes, I really do appreciate it. And if you have not had the opportunity to support my shoe line, go to Dinasha Harrison on Facebook. So that's spelled D apostrophe capital NASHA Harrison. And you'll see a huge red, black, and white shoe from aliveshoe.com. When you see that shoe, go to the bottom, click on it, and then it'll give you the opportunity to purchase those shoes. So male, female shoes are available for you, all different sizes. So support me as I continue to do these shoe lines. After this shoe line, Series 1, you got that red, black, and white representing Chicago, representing the Chicago Bulls. We're going to have more shoes coming out. Shy Cali Collections is the name of the shoe line, and this is the Series 1. So please, please, please go out and support. Concerning the Denasha Harrison Show, concerning this platform, continue to support this platform on Intellectual Radio. Go ahead and press subscribe on intellectualradio.com. Press those like buttons, and please put your comments in the comment section. And if the Denasha Harrison Show is a show that you kind of like but don't like so much, listen, there's a whole bunch of other shows on this platform that I'm sure can pique your interest. So we are one big family where we all feed our brains concerning what's going on here on Intellectual Radio. And I ask that you give these shows a chance. Give these shows an opportunity to come into your living rooms, come through your airwaves, come over your social media, come over your internet, so that you can go ahead and listen to these shows and apply it to whatever you feel like you can apply it to. But again, there's a lot of shows on this platform, and I'm sure one of those shows um, will be of your liking. So, and again, thank you for all the support. A friend of mine, right before coming on to the show, talked to me about a show on Netflix. Now, for those of you who've been following me for a while, you know that I've talked about some of the places that I've grown up in Chicago. One of the places was the west side of Chicago, Cicerone Lake, of course, uh, right there on what they call these days L Town. So I grew up there, but I also spent a lot of time off of Mohawk Avenue in Cabrini Green in the row houses, and a lot of formidable years there. So there's a show uh, out on Netflix called We Grown Now, and it follows the lives of young people growing up in Cabrini Green. So from a young boy's perspective, they're seeing what's going on in their lives. Netflix, that show is depicting what's going on in the lives of some young folk growing up in Cabrini Green. So it was pointed out that I should probably watch the show. There may be some similarities to how I grew up when I spent a lot of time in that area at Mama Dia's house, uh, out on out on um, the the west side of Chicago, heading east off of Chicago Avenue. But I'm really looking forward to looking at the show, checking out the show, seeing if I can pick out some similarities, see how much of the show they got right as far as what they were showing in the early mid '80s. So thank you for that info, and I'm looking forward to checking out the show. With that, again, I won't be before you long. I wanted to share some things with you about um, just where I'm at with things, and I'd like to know that everybody who's watching the show has applied as much as they can to their lives based on what I've said on the show. A lot of times I talk about circles, your inner circles. A lot of times I talk about keeping it real and positive, and not sitting on information that you may have, things that you want to share. Make sure you share, and I'm gonna continue to do that. Um, on, uh, no matter how I feel, I try my best to show up, and I try my best to be as positive as I can, because at the end of the day, when you do have an obligation, for example, we have obligations on our jobs, show up. We have good days, bad days, ups, downs, what have you, but there's still something in front of you that needs to get accomplished. And sometimes you don't feel like showing up. Sometimes you don't feel like doing your best. But if you have a responsibility and you have an obligation to show up and get something done, then you do your best to get it done. You do your best to get it taken care of. So I want to talk a little bit about showing up in spite of. Showing up in spite of. There's a difference between happiness and joy. I've always been taught that joy is on the inside. No matter what you may be going through on the outside, you still should have joy in your heart on the inside. And joy and happiness might not marry up and look the same all the time. And so I always wondered about that. I always wondered about how people can talk about having joy on the inside, but not being overly happy looking. And so I've I understand the definitions of the two, but I think it's better defined for me that when you look at the purpose of the two, that they're very different. I believe that the purpose of happiness is to not only display how you're feeling on the inside to other people, but for other people to see what you got going on and see how you're getting through. So I think happiness is more for someone else to buy into or to recognize. I believe that having joy on the inside gives you more abilities to accomplish the things that are associated with those things that are associated with joy. So just because you don't have the the outside smile or the jovial attitude to display uh, how pleased you may be about a subject or how pleased you may be about something, uh, that doesn't mean that you cannot maintain joy on the inside. So for me, a definition of joy is having the ability to um, overcome things, accomplish things, transform, um, to actually get into a mood necessary not for the people on the outside, but get in the mood that's necessary for yourself to be an overcomer, to get through. Uh, I believe that joy doesn't always have a smile uh, to give or to share. I believe that joy actually motivates you to get through certain situations, certain circumstances. Let's take sickness for example. I believe that you have to take the time get well. You have to take the time to get well. You've heard the phrase of running someone in the dirt. or running yourself in the dirt. I believe that you have to take that time out to get well. And in order for that to happen, you have to recognize what's attached or associated to that thing that we call joy, that motivator, that motivation on the inside. I believe it's very important. I believe that it really gives us a true definition of your health being your wealth. I don't want to accumulate a lot of things in this life if I'm not able to enjoy that which I accumulate. I talk about the circles, like I said before. If I have a small circle and I'm actually starting to give in that circle and I'm actually being able to receive from that circle as well, then I'd say I got a pretty decent situation there. I got a good thing going. Now, for me to have a healthy circle, but not put the time into my own health, um, I believe that I'm not investing in myself as I should. And eventually, I'm not going to be any good to those people that are in my circle. And I'm not going to allow for anything coming out of that circle to be good to me, if that makes sense. So I talk about that circle a lot. I talk about, your health being your wealth a lot. And again, I believe that just because we are not smiling on the outside doesn't mean that we don't have joy on the inside. Because again, there's a lot of things that can attach themselves to that inner feeling of joy in order for us to get through some things that we're going through, in order for us to be successful. And guess what? For me, I believe that what's on the inside eventually comes out on the outside. So whether it's something that you want to exhibit to people um, on the outside in the public, I don't believe that that still dictates how you got things going on the inside. It's a choice to display those things on the outside for the public. But as far as what you have going on the inside, I believe that's more for you than anybody else. So that's for somebody that's listening. That's for somebody who's supporting the show. And I hope that it makes sense to you. And I hope that you can apply that. We go through a lot. We're going to go through a lot. That's life. And as we go through what we go through in life, we have to go ahead and make sure that we're still meeting our obligations. And we have to use that formula which someone has given us a long time ago, whether it's our ancestors, our spiritual beliefs, somebody who we met on the street, whatever that it is for you, grab a hold of it, recognize what it is, grab a hold of it, and apply it to what it is that you want to do out in life. I've said before about, jack of none, but still is better than the master of one. Now that's a fine little ditty, but I would encourage all of you to try to be a master of everything that your hand touches. Instead of being a jack of all trades, try to be a master of all the trades that you um, that you put your hand to. Because one thing that you can't get back is time. After we get done here on this show, we'll never be able to get this time back. We can watch what happened in this time over and over again, but we can never get this time back. So I would encourage each and every one of you to take the time to recognize how precious time is. And instead of being the jack of all trades and burning the midnight oil, putting your hand towards something that's not going to give you a return or give those around you a return, take a step back, take a break, take a look at prioritizing all the things that you're putting your hands into. Take a look at what's costing you and take a look at what's giving you a return. And for those things that are giving you a return, that's helping to you, that's helping to develop you, that's helping you grow, that's helping you to level up, that's helping you to scale up. I would encourage you to put those at the top of the list. Put those things in the forefront of all the other things that you got going on. Hey, I love shooting. I love smoking cigars, shooting guns, and riding motorcycles. All right. But what type of return is that giving me other than the now, other than that moment? And moments have their place. Don't get me wrong. But should that be at the top of my list? I think not. Should that be at the top of your list? Only you can determine that. If you deem it to be a priority and you feel like it's giving you the return that you need and give you the balance that you need, then continue on that path. But for me, um, I want to master everything that my hand touches. And for me, in order to do that, I have to ensure that there's a return, there's some type of gain concerning my efforts. And so I would encourage each and every one of you to take a look at those priorities in your life. Line up those things so that they can feed the inner person. Those things that you do can replenish that inner joy. Those things that you do can allow you to display on the outside what's going on the inside. And it's not just a facade that you're displaying for others because you really don't feel on the outside like you really do on the inside. So I want to encourage everybody to be real with yourselves. I want to encourage everybody to have those real solid relationships that you know you deserve, that you know you should be a part of. And I want to encourage each and every one of you to speak up in those relationships that you do not feel or that you know are not healthy for you. Speak up, have that conversation. Make sure that you are determined enough to be happy like you deserve to be. Have those conversations. You may be surprised on what comes out on the other end, but put yourself in a position to do as best as you can for you. So, circles, make sure they're healthy circles. Make sure that what's going on inside of you can reflect um, what you would like to display on the outside. Because as we go through this life and we navigate this life, we're touching others. We're touching others every day, whether we're trying to or not. We are not in this world alone. I don't believe that we're meant to be in this world alone. I believe that we're meant to be social on some levels, certain levels, um, even the smallest levels. We're meant to be social and have some type of impact on some other creation. So whether it's a, fellow human being, whether it's, nature, we are navigating this space and we have some type of impact on others that we encounter. And so it should be the best encounter that you can make it. And so again, I just want to encourage everybody to be as positive as possible. Do what it is that you feel like you need to do to get that balance. Make sure that you're healing yourself. Make sure that you're um, doing all the things that that's best for you. Doing all the things that you know is best for you. So that's pretty much all I got tonight. And before I sign off, of course, I do want to continue to encourage you to support intellectualradio.com. I want you to support the Denasha Harrison show, the show that went on before me, like Elevated Vibes. Wonderful show, wonderful subject. If there's something that you want to see more of on the Denasha Harrison show, go ahead and call 708-223-8953. Give us a call uh, and let us know what it is that you would like to see or what you would like to hear. If you want to be a guest on the show, please feel free to call 708-223-8953 as well. Talk to us about what you would want to discuss on the show. Stay positive with your discussions. If there's something that's going on in the world that you may not have a solution for, that's okay. If you want to talk about it and it doesn't seem too positive, that's okay too. If you feel like the word really, really needs to get out among the people, then I welcome you on the show. I welcome you to come on the show and share your thoughts. Um, and if you got some ideas about your thoughts, share those as well. We may not have all the answers to what's going on. We just might want to vent. We might want to talk. I'm here for that. That's okay. Anytime you feel like you want to get something off your chest in a constructive way, then please feel free to look me up, come on the show and do so. And again, I did plug my shoes. I'm going to continue to plug those shoes. I'm going to continue to plug the line because it's not about just the product. It's about the decision to move forward on something that I've been flirting with since 2021. Then I flirted with it again in 2023. And then I decided to do it in 2024. So the motivation is there. And whether it's a shoe line, whether it's something else that I'm venturing over into, I want to make sure that I'm a master of that and that I put every effort forward that I have to make it a success for not only me, but for my loved ones and creating that legacy. And I would encourage you all to do that as well. Again, put your hand towards something that you can master, become the master of those things that you're endeavoring in, so that it can not only be something positive for you, but it can also be positive for your loved ones and the legacy that you're building for those that you love and care about. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'm not going to be long before you. I'm looking forward to seeing you on next Wednesday on the Denasha Harrison Show. And here on Intellectual Radio, where we continue to feed our brain, if the levee don't break and the creek don't rise, I'll see you next Wednesday on the Denasha Harrison Show. So thank you for joining me and be good to each other. Talk to you soon. Told you I wasn't going to be long.